I'm a part-time instructor at a community college. When I'm in class with my students, I'm totally engaged. In fact, one of the most frequent comments in my teacher evaluations is that I'm passionate about what I teach. And I am passionate about what I teach. I also have diabetes. And often, at the end of a class, I used to be drenched in sweat and feeling the usual signs of people whose blood sugar is way too low. So I'd grab almost anything that I could find to eat to try to get my blood sugar up. That in turn caused my glucose level to quickly rise way, way too high. However, just as important as what I ate were the excessive quantities in which I ate it. This wasn't good. Once I started in with insulin, my doctors over time simply increased the dosage to the point where I was giving myself 200 units a day, which is rather high. I've been overweight for quite some time, but in the last couple of years, I really began to add pounds. It was like a dog constantly chasing its tail. The more weight, the more insulin. At some level, I knew that this situation was unsustainable, that it couldn't go on. Something definitely needed to be done, and when I started with Rush's preventative medicine unit, that something began. It was a friend of my wife's who told me about this program, and he was ecstatic about it. One of the things he talked about was a continuous glucose monitor, something he had been using that seemed to help him quite a bit. So I came to Rush and started the program, which, among other things, involved monitoring what I ate and how much I ate. And regarding the continuous glucose monitor, I was given the option. I didn't have to do it, but I thought to myself that I really might as well. And I'm very, very glad that I did. It's helped a lot. It really has. Now, at first, I wasn't entirely convinced I needed a continuous glucose monitor. To begin with, I wasn't sure that I liked the thought of having something attached to my body, but once I was instructed in how to use it, I found that it was really no bother at all. In fact, most of the time, I'm completely unaware that it's there. So that reservation was pretty much eliminated by my experience. I was also thinking, do I really want to bother with checking my glucose levels all day long? Do I want to let this rule my life totally? But then I realized that if and when I ever get totally off insulin, and even medication, my diabetes won't rule my life at all, or at least minimally. And that will be terrific. At that point, I'll have a real sense of accomplishment. So it all started to make sense to me. Well, I'm already on the way. Over the months that I've been using my particular device, my confidence has grown. I found that keeping track of my glucose levels at any point throughout the day has been a big aid in controlling my diabetes. I can take steps during the course of an average day to minimize any potential diabetic problems, sugar levels that are too high or too low. In the beginning, my team and I had to do quite a lot of regulating regarding the amount of insulin. When I started, I was giving myself 100 units in the morning and 100 units at night. And now I'm down to 20 units during the day and 14 at night. That's a huge decrease, 2/3. I'm very pleased about that. Tracking my glucose levels at all hours prompted me to adopt better eating habits and to reduce portions, both of which in turn have considerably lowered my numbers. I've also greatly boosted my exercise level. So now the dog is chasing its tail in the other direction, a positive one. I should add something that a lot of people tend to forget, but is one that's also important, and that's eating at more regular times. I tend to be a night owl, and the temptation is there to snack during the wee hours. Do I still succumb to that temptation occasionally? Well, I do. I'm not perfect. But knowing that the device in my pocket will register higher numbers has often kept me on the straight and narrow. I've lost about 30 pounds, and God willing, I hope to lose at least 30 more. And I hope to be able to regain the level of health that I had as recently as perhaps 10 or so years ago. I must confess to having a huge motivating factor. 5 months ago, our first grandchild was born, and he's beautiful, perfect. And his entrance into our lives has spurred me even more to try to take steps such as using the glucose monitor to maximize the number of years I have left to help the little guy on his journey through life.